But let's talk about the 49ers Rams, unless you have anything else before we move on.
No, I'm
Perfect.
good, Jeff.
I think we covered that pretty well. 49ers Rams, this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a legacy game for McVay. And not a legacy game because he's got obviously a long career, but at this point, this is a pretty big fork in the road. Because if he loses this game, it would make it 7 straight to Kyle Shanahan. The line is set at 3.5. Over unders 45.5. How are we liking this game? I love the game, but what are we liking here? How are you breaking this down?
I'm really annoyed by the spread just because I hate to like do this to the pod, but like it's basically like if this spread stays how it is, I'm gonna go Niners. If this spread goes to 3, I might go Rams. So that's where I'm a little annoyed here. So I probably would making my wager here on this at like 6:38 Eastern on Sunday. But like you said, it's huge for McVay in my opinion, just because like McVay and Shanahan, I mean they're friends, but they're rivals. They're almost like the coach's form of like a Brady Manning kind of thing almost. And he's got to beat Shanahan eventually. And what's better time to do it than right here? I just think the Rams are the better team, but for whatever reason, they just can't beat the Niners. But at the same time, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. So I lean Rams if this spread moves, but I feel like it'll move, but I don't really know. But it's kind of a bad pick. But if it stays at this, I'll probably go Niners. Sorry, not the best analysis there.
All good. I like it. That was the thing with the Chiefs thing. Like at 6.5, I like the Chiefs a lot. At 7.5, I think there's some value. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet on the side in that game, but like that same kind of logic, same thing here. Like 3.5, I think there's value. I think this is a really bad kind of matchup for the Rams potentially, because to me, the Rams are built for the new age of football, and Kyle Shanahan is very much he does a really great job of blending old school with the new school. He just doesn't have the quarterback to really, I think, maximize it. But it's also hard because like Jimmy G wins him a lot of games, even though he doesn't play very well. And I don't think that's controversial in the least bit, no matter what Jeff Garcia says about Jimmy G's performance. But like, it isn't the best, but like the Rams defense, just like when you look at it logistically, it's built to kind of play against new age offenses. And this is an offense that is sending Trent Williams in motion now. They're playing tight ends and fullbacks at a higher rate than anybody else in the NFL. They play big boy bully football. And while the Rams have great talent like Aaron Donald, who is perfectly fine in that environment, and Von Miller is phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but he's a little undersized for an edge guy when you have Trent Williams in motion and you have Greg Kittle there and you have fullbacks coming out of the backfield and you're doing all these things. And then Kyle Shanahan mixes in a ton of motion to get matchups. So Debo is away from Jalen Ramsey and you're getting favorable matchups on certain sides of the field. And it's just like, for all the failings that I think, or not failings, but maybe shortcomings or weaknesses Kyle Shanahan might have as an overall head coach, which people think, and we've thought at various times, from an offensive strategy standpoint, he's phenomenal at mixing those two styles. And I think that's really like a really bad matchup for the Rams. Do you think the Rams, I mean, it's a 1-game sample. Clearly they haven't been able to do it yet. Now they do have Stafford, and we can talk about that side of the ball here in a minute, but like, do you think they have a chance to be competitive when we look at that defense versus this offense right now?
I mean, it's a great way to look at it just because you look at the Rams, like you said about Von Miller. Von Miller, he's a phenomenal player. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, but like you said, he's perfect for the modern NFL. He can, it's a passing league. He's an elite pass rusher. I mean, he could play the run, but just it's not what he's elite at. So I mean, that's a great thing to bring up. I mean, I don't hate the way you're like breaking it down like that. The only thing that I'm worried about, like with the Niners, Jimmy G, is he going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times? I mean, I know that's what LA's going to want that to happen. If LA can get out to like an early lead, then I think San Francisco could be in trouble. It's weird because I want the Rams to win because I want to see good quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. So I'd rather Stafford go, and he could play either Mahomes or Burrow. They're both great. But like it's funny because the Niners are like a great example of me as a Washington fan. Like if we did what they did, because we never have quarterbacks, like that's how we actually win. But I just don't want them to, because one, they're kind of, I don't really like them, as you know, and
Yeah.
it's just, but it's annoying because they're constructed like a way that my team could actually be good.
Yep. I agree. And here's the other thing about this offense versus defensive matchup, that is, if you're going to be a Rams backer, would at least it gives me concern at this point in the season. The Rams are giving up the third most total yak in the NFL this season. I don't know if you noticed, but Deebo Samuel is pretty damn good in the open space. There is a reason that even though Jimmy G has underperformed, the Raiders are second in yards gained per pass, because they do a great job of getting guys in open space and then making plays in the open space. And their expected points off the pass is 9th in the NFL. So that is a concerning matchup, to say the least. And I take the approach that Jimmy G has played pretty terrible in the postseason right now, but he's still getting wins. I think he can play better in this game, which kind of boosts that 49ers, because the thumb's a little bit healthier. He's going to be in a dome. So as long as he doesn't play as bad as he's played, I think that's advantage 49ers. Now we flip the ball. I'm not saying McVay can't beat the 49ers defense, but there is kind of that mindset. I don't know how much gravitas you give it, but like Shanahan taught him this offense. Shanahan is his mentor. Now, McVay has clearly put his spin on it, but I think that's a huge advantage. No, when you have the coach who sort of created this offensive philosophy, and sure, McVay has changed it and altered it to make it his, but at its core, they're very similar-ish. And we've seen that fail. And yes, Goff has been the bulk of that sample size, but even Stafford struggled the first time around because it was a lot of zone. It's not a lot of blitzing. It causes some wrinkles there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think Shanahan has a big influence on McVay, and this might sound kind of funny me bringing this up, but you might want to remember that McVay, as an offensive coordinator, was actually under Jay Gruden. So he does have a little bit of Jay Gruden in him, but definitely more, the new age thinking of Shanahan. I do agree. It's just like that offense, it is made for like new age football, and just the way the Niners play. I mean, it's just that old school, just kind of like in your face type play. So I don't know, man. This is a tough game.
It is. And I do think the Rams could win here because they are playing at a very high level, but there are things that concern me. Like the fact that the 49ers blitz at the 4th least rate in the NFL. Like they still get pressure. Yeah. And that offense, that defensive line, especially in the postseason, has been eating. I mean, they are a bear to deal with. Like they are like, you woke a bear during hibernation and they're going to claw your face off good right now. And so that allows you to drop everybody back, not play aggressive man, which Stafford would rather you play man than zone. And so it's just like stylistically, matchups make fights. I agree. I think I'd rather see the Rams because I think Rams versus whoever comes out of the AFC is just a more fun matchup. Yeah. But I look at this and it's like, I get why the Rams have really struggled against the 49ers, because everywhere I look, it's like, damn, the 49ers just stylistically, there aren't a lot of teams that really kind of mismatch against the Rams. The Rams match up so well with so many teams, but it feels like this is the team that just matchups terribly against them.
Yeah. I mean, the only like real advantage I give to the Rams, and the issue obviously is, how much time Stafford will have though. I mean, I do think Kupp and Beckham will be able to work their secondary a little bit if Stafford has time. I mean, that's huge. I mean, I actually like Beckham's prop right now is at 52.5. I think, he has very much solidly put himself in that number 2 role on that offense. In the last 2 games, I believe he's been over 60 yards. So I kind of like him at 52.5. Kupp's sitting at 103. I mean, that both games against San Francisco, he's gone over 100, but I mean, I'm always scared when you go into hundreds in like playoff games. But Deebo's at 51.5, and you just bring up the yak factor. I mean, that is tempting. I will say though, if you actually look at his numbers, he's actually of a few props in the playoffs so far. He hasn't had like a 100 all-purpose game in the playoffs yet. He just has, he has these key plays where, it's 3rd and 7 and they hand it off to him. Gets a first down. But yeah, just those are some props that maybe I like, but This is a tough one, man. I don't know. I seriously am not going to place a bet like on the spread until like 5 minutes before.
Yeah. I like your logic going to this. Like at 3.5, I'm taking 49ers at this point. But if it drops below that, I think there's a debate, at least from my point of view, there's now a debate for the Rams. But I think at 3.5 with that hook in there, I'm taking the 49ers as my pick. Also, two things that you mentioned that I had to ask questions about.